Hello, people there that I am the Wolves here. Welcome back to a brand new video of talking cubing methods. So in this episode, we're gonna do yet another cube. This time it's 4x4, and it's the cage method for 4x4. Now, quick disclaimer: if you're hoping to find your new main speed cubing method in this method, the cage method, I'd say don't get your hopes too high. So even though sub 2 minute solves have been done, it's more of a fun way to solve the 4x4 and an easier way to learn how to solve the 4x4. By easier I mean with less algs. Sometimes it can be slightly hard to understand. For this video, I'm gonna first be taking an overview over the method. So I myself cannot solve cage. I cannot solve using cage, but watch tutorials stuff like that. I'll probably link a few in the description. It really isn't too hard. There's only about 3 to 4 algs you have to learn, with one being a commutator, with most time like being either commutator or like 4 move algs, like not really too complicated algs, and some of them being like basic 3x3 algs. Well, okay, there's no point in me rambling about. Let's move on to the steps. So sorry if it looks a bit messy. Okay, so first thing you're gonna want to be doing for the cage method is solving. Actually, there's 2 ways because this method has multiple variants. It being known as the center's last method. It can be done in different ways. The more usually used way that you're gonna find in most tutorials is solve the first layer. So all of this. But this said, a few other tutorials, which I sometimes regard as slightly better than the others I've seen, talk about solving only the edges first, keeping it true to its name in parentheses. So that's your choice basically how you want to do it. So either you lose more time in building the layer and less time later, or win a bit of time here and lose maybe a slightly more time later. That would be based on which algs you prefer, if you're more intuitive solver, more alg solver, whatever. The next step will be solving the corners. This can either be done if you know CLL, or simply using 2x2 slash 2x2 slash 3x3 methods. So at this point you're gonna have this fully solved and the corners. Now the next step will be to insert these edges to create another spot here. This can probably be one of the hardest bits to understand, so I'd recommend going to one of these tutorials if you really want to learn this method and look it up. Now note, the centers aren't solved, so oh yeah, just to mention, another thing you'll need to know is kind of which place are the centers, mainly for the last step. You'll see why later. So you have to imagine that the centers are not solved. The next step will be using a few intuitive algs, solving these edges. Now this can take a bit. Also, let's say these 2 steps are the most complicated steps of this method. Not really complicated as per se, just can take a bit of time to like fully comprehend how exactly they want you to do it. So now we're at a stage where all the edges, corners are solved, everything is solved except the centers. Or one center if you've gone with the first layer instead of like just the first edges. What we're gonna then be using is the Nicholas commutator. I think that's how it's known. Now, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it's known by, and it's basically a commutator that swaps this center and this center without undoing anything. So obviously, if you want to swap this and this, you just look like this and do the alg. But let's say you want to swap this one and this one, and actually, I'll put it with this. Let's say you want to swap this piece and this piece. You don't have to worry about moving this and then swapping them, doing the alg and swapping them, because then you can just, since it doesn't affect the edges, you can just move it back to its place. So cancel out the move you did to set it up in a way. This shouldn't be too complicated to understand. It's not really anything too special. Then the last step is just spam this till the whole cube is solved. So now that, like me, you know how the cage method works, you can talk about pros and cons. Now this method is very good for beginners, as it starts giving them a bit of an understanding of the cube itself, how the centers work, the edges, stuff like that. It is easier to learn if you know how to solve 3 by 3, but the difference of methods like reduction, you're not forced to know how to solve a 3 by 3. It is obviously recommended, but not forced. You know, who would want to solve a 4 by 4 without knowing how to solve a 3 by 3? Well, anyways, another thing to keep in mind is that this method wasn't created with the idea to make it a very big speed cubing method, but variations have been created about this method. I've seen a few in the speed solving forums, but I'll say most of these things aren't advanced, and if you really want to take 4 by 4 seriously, going for Ya or Hoya will probably be the way to go. Yeah. I'd kind of still suggest in a way learning this method if you like solving on 4 by 4, because it's kind of different and really fun in a way. So what I mean is that if you get bored of using all the same method and just like, I don't know, it's a fun way to solve a cube, I'll put it at that. It's kind of like certain methods for 3 by 3. It's less about like solving it fast, but more about having fun while solving it, or like solving it differently. Another pro is the very low alg count. Now, the difference of like, if you wanna get obviously fast, you need to learn algs. Surprise, surprise. Obviously not too many algs. So like I know Yao, apart from like the 3 by 3 part, 3 by 3 stage, doesn't actually require that many. Doesn't really require that many algs extra to the 3 by 3 stage. But there's the 3 by 3 stage itself has a few algs. Mainly like if you're speed solving 3 by 3 and you know full OLL, full PLL, when you wanna get faster. So this is more like, oh, I just wanna know how to solve the 4 by 4. Then this is the method for you, because it teaches you how to solve the 4 by 4, not how to solve the 4 by 4 quickly. It's kind of like if you think about corners first. Corners first was firstly I did to solve the 3 by 3. It was never meant to speed solve the 3 by 3. Then people obviously created variations, like the Waterman variation. But then it often led out to more complicated stuff, which then led to methods starting from different spots. So at that, this can kind of be the corners first for 4 by 4, but without actually being corners first. So it's more like a different. It's an easier method for 4 by 4. I don't know if you see what I mean. Oh yeah, I forgot to say at the beginning of the video that this was suggested by the guy I put up, because even though I didn't, sometimes I may forget to say it, but that would be my bad. But I'll always be shouting out the person that suggested it. Like I'll always put this comment down here at the beginning of the video when I'm doing my intro. And actually, this person is a good friend of mine, and he has a channel. He often uploads his solves and stuff like that. And why not just check him out? His link will be in the description as well, along with the tutorials. Apart from that, there's nothing really much else I can say about the cage method. It's an interesting method, which is actually kind of fun to solve. I've tried a few solves with it. Obviously, I've taken a long time, which is why I decided not to include like a reconstructive solve in this video. If I'd found on the internet some like example solves, I'd probably like just put the sheet of paper with the moves, but still would not been as like legit as, for example, what the thing for the corners first, where I kind of showed the thinking process for the corners first method. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this method. Remember to keep suggesting. I have a few suggestions, but I would for example, if I like the suggestion you're proposing me, I will probably put it up other methods. For example, the cage method was slightly suggested later than a few methods I've seen, but it really caught my interest as some of the other methods were more like standard methods, while this one was like something that you don't often see. An opportunity for me to get a few more views, but like that's another story. So yeah, I've been your boy, this Wolf25 here. Make sure to tune in next week, same time, for another Talking Cubing Methods video, and get commenting about suggestions. Another thing will be this Friday, starting 5 PM GMT, my gaming live stream. And yeah, been your boy Survive here. Thanks for watching my channel. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more. And yeah, goodbye.